So there is absolutely no reason to not be vegan, especially if you are against animal cruelty. Veganism is a stance against animal cruelty. If you are against animal cruelty, you absolutely need to go vegan. Otherwise, you are funding some of the worst acts of animal cruelty taking place. And going vegan is not only the best thing you can do for the animals, it's actually the best thing you can do for yourself. Certainly health-wise, a plant-based diet can reduce your risk of so many very common and very deadly diseases. This is from the National Kidney Foundation. And it states a plant-based diet can help reduce your risk of getting kidney disease. And if you have kidney disease, a plant-based diet can help slow the progression. And from the American Heart Association, here, showing that vegans appear to have the lowest rates of cancer. In fact, vegans, those who don't eat any animal products, including fish, dairy, and eggs, appear to have the lowest rates of cancer of any diet. And that's coming from the Mayo Clinic. And let me switch this to the American Institute for Cancer Research. Their list of foods that fight cancer are all plant-based foods. There's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no eggs, there is not even any seafood items on that list of foods that fight cancer. They are all plant-based foods that help fight cancer. Even soy is on that list of foods that help fight cancer. And a lot of the plant-based meat alternatives are made with soy, and the soy used in the plant-based meat alternatives is the GMO-free soy. And guess what? You know, they do have plant-based chicken. Even KFC just put Beyond Chicken on their menu. So you can go vegan right now, and you can still go to KFC. Just make sure you get the Beyond Chicken. Yeah, so if you are against animal cruelty, you absolutely need to go vegan. And if you go vegan, and especially if you stick to a whole foods plant-based diet or as close to a whole foods plant-based diet as possible, you are going to most likely see some incredible health benefits, and you are going to reduce your risk of getting cancer and heart disease, two of the leading causes of death. Steak is not good. It's not good for the animals who have to suffer and die for it. It's certainly not good for your health. It's acidic, it's inflammatory, it's loaded with artery clogging fats and cholesterol. The more meat you eat, the more risk you have of getting many forms of cancer. Type 2 diabetes, kidney disease, cerebral vascular disease, and heart disease, the leading cause of death. No, I'm not lying. You know, you wish I was lying, but I'm not lying. I'm absolutely not lying. And you're probably just in a state of denial. I have no reason to lie. And this is from the American Institute for Cancer Research, what I have up right now. Their list of foods that fight cancer from the American Institute for Cancer Research are all plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, berries, whole grains, nuts, seeds, beans, legumes. Even soy is on that list of foods that help fight cancer. And if I switch this to what the National Kidney Foundation has to say about plant-based diets. From the National Kidney Foundation, plant-based diets can help reduce your risk of getting kidney disease. And if you have kidney disease, it can help slow the progression. So there's so many health benefits to going vegan. Even from the American Heart Association, a plant-based diet can help reduce your risk of heart disease. And it's the only diet that can literally reverse heart disease in some cases. Just watch The Last Heart Attack with Dr. Sanjay Gupta. No, eggs are not a health food. Liver is not a health food. Okay, for one thing, eggs, just one egg has twice as much cholesterol as a Big Mac. It's not healthy. And liver, yeah, no, that's not healthy either. Full of toxins. Acidic, inflammatory, yeah, gross. Somebody thinks I'm a psycho because I'm against abusing animals. Isn't that strange that I'm being called crazy because I'm against abusing animals and I'm trying to encourage other people to not harm animals. Strange how people just like to harass and bully vegans. It's just, I think what it truly is people are just in a state of denial. They don't want to admit that vegans are right. Because if they admit that vegans are right, they know they have to go vegan. And guess what? Going vegan is a pretty easy thing to do. And it's something that is very rewarding too. When I went vegan, I didn't know there could be any health benefits. I was so brainwashed into consuming animal products. I actually thought I had to be healthy. So when I first went vegan, I solely did it for ethical reasons because that's what veganism really is. Veganism is a stance against animal cruelty, and I've always been against animal cruelty. But growing up, I did not know that, those animal products that I was consuming were literally derived from some of the worst acts of animal cruelty taking place. So once I learned about how my food was being produced, I realized that it's all based on animal cruelty. And I didn't want any part of it. And I realized I had to go vegan in order to align my actions with my belief that it is wrong to abuse animals. But guess what? When I first went vegan, I was so severely brainwashed to thinking, it was a healthy thing to be eating animals, that you have to eat animals to be healthy. I actually thought that I might not be able to stick with it. But within 3 months of eliminating animal products from my diet, my health significantly improved. I have endometriosis, and I used to have it so bad, I would be in pain for 12 days out of every single month. And this went on for years. It got to the point where pain relievers stopped working. And the only relief I could get was just to take a hot shower. So I'd be, going home from lunch, for lunch from work and jump in the shower 2-3 times before heading back. As soon as I get home from work, at the end of the day, jump right back in the shower because I was in so much pain, and that was the only relief, is getting into a hot shower. But within 3 months of eliminating animal products from my diet, the pain completely went away. And I was so brainwashed, to thinking I had to eat animal products because it was healthy. I didn't even realize, I didn't even connect it at first, that the pain went away because I changed my eating habits. I eliminated those inflammatory foods from my diet. Meat, dairy, and egg products are very inflammatory. They are like the most inflammatory foods that you can consume. And it's interesting. Yeah, is it just a coincidence that the pain went away? Yeah, I don't think so. You know, I eliminated those very inflammatory foods from my diet and the inflammation went away. So yeah, I really think it was linked to that. So, you know, had I known the truth sooner, had I known how horribly animals are abused for animal products, had I known that it wasn't even necessary to consume animal products to be healthy, I would have went vegan a hell of a lot sooner. And not only could I have spared countless animals from suffering, I could have spared myself years of suffering as well. I'm super mean. I'm just here stating facts. I'm just here stating facts. I mean, people are literally calling me a psycho. Yesterday, I had somebody say that I should be executed. Literally, they want me dead. They think I should die because I'm against animal cruelty. Yeah, look at all these nasty comments. I mean, it's just weird, you know, that people hate on vegan activists so badly. How do you think elephants get their strong bones? To hold up all that weight? Do you think elephants are drinking cow's milk to get their strong bones? Do you think elephants are drinking cow's milk to get their strong bones? Seriously. No, they're not. There are plenty of plant-based foods that contain calcium. Yeah, if you want to see annoying, yeah, go to the slaughterhouses. See how those humans are treating those animals. You think those animals are enjoying what humans are doing to them? Yeah, it's very annoying for these animals to be forced into slaughterhouses. It's very annoying for these animals to be forced to live in shit-filled sheds for months, smelling nothing but ammonia that burns their eyes and their lungs. Why do people fight so hard for animal cruelty? It's kind of creepy, really, that all of these people come out in droves to defend animal abuse. It's really creepy. I mean, you're literally defending this multi-billion-dollar industry that is based on nothing but torturing and killing animals and destroying the planet in the process just to sell you products that increase your risk of, you know, getting some of the most common and most deadly diseases. Well, if you're a believer in God, why don't you turn to the very first page of the Bible, Genesis 1:29? And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. The Garden of Eden was vegan. In the end, the wolf will lay with the lamb, and there will be no more harm on God's holy mountain. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. And in case you don't know, farmers sexually abuse animals to force them to reproduce. It absolutely has nothing to do with God, everything to do with bestiality. Yeah, sexual relations between a human and an animal is absolutely bestiality. It does not matter. I'm not saying that those farmers, maybe they are, I don't know. I'm not saying that those farmers are getting sexual gratification, but they are literally masturbating male animals to force them to ejaculate, to collect their semen, to force it into the vaginas of those female animals, to impregnate them, to force them to reproduce so that you can eat their babies. And in the case of dairy cows, so they can impregnate them to get them to start lactating so that they can steal their babies, kill those babies if they're boys, to steal the baby food that belonged to those babies. How can you defend such cruelty? It just doesn't make sense. And then you're using God. You're using God. That's blasphemous. Absolutely blasphemous. To say your God sees nothing wrong with humans fondling the genitalia of animals, stealing the babies of animals, forcing those babies to live in shit-filled sheds for months. forcing those animals screaming into slaughterhouses to hack them to pieces just to eat artery-clogging carcinogenic crap while destroying everything that God created in the process, because animal agriculture is literally destroying the planet. It is the leading cause of deforestation. Yeah, the forest that God created, destroyed, mainly due to animal agriculture. Species extinction is linked to animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is the main cause of species extinction. Not only are millions of wild animals intentionally killed each and every year because they compete with livestock for grazing land, like in the case of horses and bison and elk and kangaroos in Australia. And not only are animals killed because they are a threat to livestock, like the wolves and the foxes and the bears and the coyotes, and the wolves. But animal agriculture, it's the leading cause of deforestation. 1 acre of land is cleared every single second of every single day, and it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock so people can eat animals. So as 1 acre of land is being cleared, there are a lot of wild animals being killed in the process. And the fires in the Amazon, a lot of them intentionally set because it's a quick and easy way to clear the land to graze cattle and to grow food for livestock. Imagine how many animals are being killed as they're setting fires to the forests and destroying the forests that God created, the animals that God created, and the rivers are being polluted, the oceans being destroyed, and it's mainly because of animal agriculture. Just in the United States alone, every single minute of every single day, livestock produce roughly 7 million pounds of manure, which is 130 times more excrement than the entire U.S. population of humans produce each minute. A lot of that excrement ends up in the rivers, which lead to the oceans, which leads to ocean dead zones. And animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. And researchers at Oxford University did an extensive study of over 40,000 farms and concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet. And that if the entire world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up. Yeah, well, the more meat you eat, the more risk you have of heart disease and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease and many forms of cancer, especially colon cancer. Yeah, and you know what happens when you get colon cancer? Yeah, very good possibility that you're going to have a bag hooked up to your abdomen. Not going to be a nice, pleasant thing. Yeah, I'm not saying if you go vegan, you are going to be cancer proof or you're going to be heart attack proof, but you are going to be reducing your risk of those diseases to the lowest risk possible. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are other things that can cause heart disease, stress. You know, sugar is not a good thing. I believe the more sugar you eat, I think that increases your bad cholesterol. So sugar is not a good thing. Stress is not a good thing. And cancer isn't, you know, always linked to, you know, what you eat, but many times it is, especially colon cancer, breast cancer. But yeah, genetics play a role. About 10% of cancers are, you know, genetic. Only 10% though. And, you can get cancer from the chemicals. Your neighbors are spraying on their lawns, chemicals in the air, even the products you use. Some of those products people are putting on their skin, very, very toxic. You should go to the Environmental Working Group's webpage and use their database to find non-toxic products. And yeah, it's interesting that the ones that are the least or are not toxic, the ones that are rated, the best, the least toxic, non-toxic, are the ones that are vegan and cruelty-free. No, I do not purchase products that have been sprayed with chemicals. I am absolutely against using chemicals. No, why should I let somebody on here with me? Just, so you can clown around some more. Oh, so you can just announce hey, I'm pro animal abuse. There's no argument. There's no argument for eating animals. Unless you live in a remote area of the world, which, yeah, you're here on TikTok. Yeah, I seriously doubt you're living in some remote area of the world. If you live in a modern civilized society, you have access to lots of plant-based foods. And yeah, when you can easily choose to not harm animals and you choose to harm animals, that's not right. Yeah, I'm not saying you can't eat meat and live a long time. I mean, come on. Yeah, there are people who are in their 90s and have eaten meat their whole life. It's like you can smoke cigarettes. It doesn't mean that you're not going to live a long life. It just means, if you're smoking cigarettes, you are at a high risk of getting lung cancer and, dying prematurely from lung cancer. But it doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get lung cancer. It just means that you are at a much higher risk. And just because you don't smoke doesn't mean you can't get lung cancer. It just means that you're at a very low risk of getting lung cancer if you don't smoke. But why harm animals if you can live probably even a much longer life? These people, I had a grandfather that, ate a lot of meat. He ate bacon every day and he lived into his 90s. Well, maybe if he didn't eat bacon and he was on a plant-based diet, he would have lived to be 130. And he would have been healthy. He would have been out mowing his lawn. No, I don't thank animal abusers. I absolutely love being vegan. I absolutely love it. The only regret I have about going vegan is that I did not do it a hell of a lot sooner. That's my only regret about going vegan. And, that's one of the reasons why I'm on this app all the time is because I'm trying to reach people who are like me against animal cruelty, but who are like I used to be, consuming animal products simply because I wasn't educated. I didn't know any better. I mean, I didn't go vegan until I was 42 years old. And I would have been vegan my entire life had I been taught better, had I been educated properly about, how food was being produced, what was happening to those animals to produce those animal products. See, back in 2008, that's when I eliminated beef and pork and chicken and turkey from my diet because I had, seen slaughterhouse footage and I was like, damn, that's pretty fucked up. No animal should have to be put through the hell of a slaughterhouse just so I could sit down for a few minutes and stuff my face. So what I did is I started looking up vegan recipes. Came across all kinds of recipes that I liked. But unfortunately, I continued to consume dairy products. I continued to consume eggs because I did not think that those products came from animal cruelty. Nobody had explained the process to me. I just thought, well, you don't have to hurt a cow to get dairy. You don't have to hurt a chicken to get eggs. So, I went another 7 years after I stopped eating pork and chicken and beef and turkey. I went 7 more years consuming dairy products, consuming eggs, because I didn't think those products involved animal abuse. It wasn't until 2015 when I came across a Care 2 article describing how they grind up the male chicks alive at the hatcheries where all the egg-laying hens come from, because they can't determine the sex of the chicks until after they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort them and they put them through a macerator because they do not lay eggs and they are not the same breed used for meat. They do not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. So back in 2015 when I was 42, I was like, that's it. I have to go vegan. And I was disgusted, thinking oh my God, I spent most of my life just consuming animal products because I didn't know any better. I wasn't taught better. If somebody had reached me sooner with that information, I would have went vegan a hell of a lot sooner. I just don't understand how people can, come across vegans and hear us explaining how these products are being produced, and you just think it's a joke or you think it's no big deal. Especially, when we live in a time where we have access to so many plant-based options and so many plant-based alternatives to just about everything. It's so easy to replace cheese, to replace milk, to replace eggs, to replace most meats. You can still eat burgers. You can still eat sausages. You can still eat fish. You can still eat shrimp. You can still eat chicken. You can still eat chicken nuggets. You can still eat cheese and ice cream. Just choose the plant-based alternatives. And the grocery stores are filled with them. And in most cases, there's not much of a price difference at all. And even with the Gardein products, they might be a little bit more expensive, but a lot of times I see them buy one, get one free. Oh, look at this. Someone needs to take me out. Really? What do you mean by that? To take me out? Someone needs to take her out. What do you mean by that? Somebody needs to kill me? I mean, that's pretty fucking creepy. You shouldn't be on this app when you're literally threatening people. That's really fucking creepy. Well, obviously I'm doing something right. Yeah, that somebody's so disturbed. You must be like a flesh farmer or a dairy farmer who, knows that I'm really making a difference, that I'm really getting people to think about their food choices. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so angered by me being on this app. You wouldn't be so angered by the things I'm saying, which I'm just literally stating facts. But you're so angered you want me dead, or maybe you just mean you want me banned from this app. Why should I be banned? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm literally just stating facts, explaining to people how animal products are produced, explaining to people there's other options, better options that are not only better for the animals, but better for their own health, better for the health of the environment. What's wrong with that? What's so awful about that? Why do you think I'm such an awful, awful person? I mean, that's pretty creepy. That you have so much hatred for someone who's just simply doing the right thing. Yeah, so now I'm on YouTube. I'm using YouTube now. So yeah, if you go to Lee Darrence, Leaderence, Lee Darrence, yeah, go to YouTube, look up Lee Darrence, and you'll see me now on YouTube. Now, there's nothing to debate. There's absolutely nothing to debate. No, GMOs are not vegan. I mean, you could eat, like GMO soy. I don't give a shit. You can go vegan and eat GMOs, GMO soy, but I wouldn't recommend it. I try to stay away from GMOs as much as possible. Millions of mice, birds, snakes dead from you. No, that's not true. It's not a requirement to kill animals for crop production. It's not a requirement. It is a requirement to kill animals so you can eat them. And they are intentionally not just killing the animals that you eat, they are intentionally killing wild animals because wild animals compete with your food. And they are a threat to your food, like wolves and cougars and bobcats and coyotes and foxes. They kill by the millions because they are a threat to livestock. Right now, they are rounding up thousands and thousands of wild American horses and taking these horses off of public lands and using our tax dollars for this atrocity. So that cattle can graze the land instead. In the state of California, the National Park Service erected a fence on public lands around the food and water resources that the wild animals like the Tule elk need for survival. And they did that to benefit cattle ranchers and dairy farmers so that they can graze their animals on the public lands and have full access to the foraging land and the water resources without competition from the wild animals like the Tule elk. And the Tule elk are starving to death. They are dying of dehydration because of this fence that was erected with taxpayer dollars on public lands to benefit the animal agriculture industry, so the animal agriculture industry can maximize its profits. It's pretty fucked up. And then it takes a lot more crops, because the animals that you eat have to eat. And what are these animals being fed? Yeah, they're being fed crops, plant foods, grains, even cattle. Most cattle being raised for beef are on feedlots being fed grains because grains fatten them up quicker for slaughter. And it takes up to 16 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of beef in return. It takes up to 6 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of poultry in return. So a lot more crops need to be produced so you can eat meat. So whatever animals might be killed in crop production, just multiply that by, roughly 8 to 12 times more animals being killed so you can eat animals. And there are non-lethal deterrents, in case you don't know. But most farmers, unfortunately, are not vegan, so they don't give a fuck. They'll use lethal deterrents because they're not vegan. But there are veganic farmers, in case you don't know. And there's such a thing as growing your own food. I grow lots of fruit trees. I even have a macadamia nut tree. And I don't use anything. I don't even have to use non-lethal deterrents because I have no pest problems at all. And, for the mice that might be getting caught up in harvesting equipment, they did a study on that. They were tracking dozens and dozens of mice. And after they plowed the field, only one mouse turned up dead. And I don't want to see any animals killed. But that was an unintentional death. See, there's a reason why if you intentionally kill someone, you're going to be charged with murder. If you're caught, yeah, murder. If you unintentionally kill someone, you're not going to be charged with murder. And for people to say, oh, but, a mouse might get caught up in harvesting equipment, so fuck you. I'm going to continue to pay people to intentionally kill animals so I can eat them. That's like, somebody accidentally kills a kid because the kid runs out in front of their car and, oh, well, see, this person just accidentally killed a kid. So that gives me every right to literally plow my car through a playground and kill as many kids as I feel like. No, that's just nonsense. I mean, the logic people use for why they eat meat, for why it's okay, it does not make any sense whatsoever. It's animal cruelty, and it should be illegal. And in the state of Oregon, they are trying to make animal agriculture illegal. They're trying to criminalize hunting, criminalize fishing. Yeah, because they should all be crimes. It should be a crime to be raising animals for food. I mean, if they were actually doing the same things to humans that they're doing to these animals on these factory farms, inside these slaughterhouses, even on the dairy farms, they would in fact be crimes of rape, kidnapping, and mass murder. Oh, look at this. Big semi-truck driver. Let's see here. Don't step in front when I'm driving. Oh, this is a reference to Regan Russell. Oh, so you made this because of Regan Russell. Big semi-truck driver. See, Regan Russell was a vegan activist, a 65-year-old vegan activist who was intentionally run over by a semi-truck driver who was hauling pigs to a slaughterhouse. So this commenter right here, big semi-truck driver, he's literally mocking this person's death. For all of you out there, you should know this. This big semi-truck driver right here that's calling me a liar, he literally set up this account to harass vegans, and he's mocking Regan Russell's death. What you should do is you should go to YouTube or just do a Google search of Regan Russell. Regan, like the word vegan, but with an R instead of a V. Look it up. Regan Russell. Regan Russell's death. And if you go to YouTube, you could probably still see that video of the aftermath after that truck driver intentionally ran her over, killing her, splitting her body in two. You can see her body laying there with a blood trail, like I think 30 yards long, because he intentionally ran her over. Let me explain that story, since this person came on here and, is clearly here to do nothing but harass and bully vegans and make fun of someone, an elderly woman who was ran over by a semi-truck. This person's literally mocking the murder of Regan Russell. Thinks it's funny. And let me tell you something else before I get into the story. After this woman, this kind-hearted, compassionate woman, was intentionally ran over by a semi-truck, same day, I'll never forget it. The same day, because I was a Facebook friend of hers. Same day that this news broke, these vegan haters, like this big semi-truck driver, these vegan haters literally went to her Facebook page after the news broke that she was intentionally ran over by a semi-truck. And they were mocking her death right on her Facebook page. Literally saying, oh, this truck driver is a hero. I would have done the same thing. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I could see that after her death, that green light that would indicate, you know, when that Facebook user is active was coming on, going on, you know, almost every day. I would see that green light on, like either her husband or one of her close relatives was actually on her account. And I'm sure they were probably reading the comments thinking, you know, these are people, you know, giving their condolences to Regan Russell. I just can't imagine the way they felt when they were literally reading these comments from these vegan haters mocking her death and saying that they would have ran her over too, that they would have murdered her too, that she, you know, deserved to die just because she's a compassionate person and doesn't think animals should be abused and killed. But this happened on June 19th, 2020. June 19th, 2020 in Toronto, Canada, at a pig slaughterhouse. I believe it's Fearman's Slaughterhouse. She and other activists, this was a Friday, she and other activists were holding a vigil. This was a hot summer day. Those pigs were arriving at that slaughterhouse in distress, dehydrated. So they also had watering cans with them. And they would hold vigils like once a week. This was something routine. It's perfectly legal. They were there peacefully protesting, legally peacefully protesting, right outside the slaughterhouse. And all they were doing, they weren't trying to stop the truck drivers from doing their job. They were simply asking the truck drivers just to stop for 2 minutes to let them show those pigs a little bit of compassion before they were forced into that slaughterhouse and hacked to pieces. To give those pigs some water and show them a little bit of compassion before they were brutally killed and dismembered inside of a fucking slaughterhouse. These were good, decent human beings doing a kind-hearted thing for these poor animals that literally came from these shit-filled factory farms that they were forced to live in for 6 fucking months. Forced to live in hell for 6 fucking months. Forced onto these transport trucks in the stifling heat of summer, shitting and pissing on each other. Arriving at this slaughterhouse dehydrated. All of these activists wanted to do, all they wanted to do was just give them a little bit of water before they went into the slaughterhouse. Show them, you know, like people do care. People realize what's happening. We're trying to raise awareness. Most of those truck drivers did not have a problem stopping for 2 minutes. But this motherfucker, who should be in prison right now for murder, this in fact was the last day that they were legally allowed to peacefully protest at this slaughterhouse. And this was the last truck driver of that day to come through with a truckload of pigs to be forced into the slaughterhouse and killed. And he was making a right turn into the facility, but he got into the left lane. Yeah, I don't know about Canada, but I know in the United States, it's illegal to make a right turn from the left lane. But why did he do that? Why did this truck driver get in the left lane when he was making a right turn? Because he wanted to put those vegan activists. Oh, are you the one that killed Regan? Are you the one that killed Regan? Look at this person. Oh, the big semi truck driver. I drive trucks. I haul pigs. You know, I wish TikTok would allow me to give a description here. Of why I want this person reported. Oh, now he's saying, oh, Regan is now ground meat. Regan is ground meat. Wow, this person is really fucking creepy. So I hope any decent, rational people out there see this. And this gives you more of a reason to go vegan. Because, like, whose side do you want to be on? Whose side do you want to be on? Really? Do you want to be on this person's side who's proudly mocking the murder of an innocent 65-year-old woman? Do you really want to be on this person's side? Or do you want to be on my side? Do you want to be on the side of the animals who are being cruelly treated and forced into slaughterhouses for no good reason? And then people are like, oh, but these people will be out of work. These people will be out of work. These people who think it's funny to murder people. You think I fucking care that these people would be out of work if the world went vegan? These people that are literally mocking the death of innocent people? Not only just the animals, but they're taking it to another level. So all you people out there who don't give a fuck about animals, well, I'm not going vegan because I don't give a fuck about animals. I'm a human. I'm superior. Well, this person's literally thinking it's funny to murder not just animals, but humans too. So, and yeah, this is someone tied to the animal agriculture industry. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up, go vegan. Unless you're just pro animal cruelty, you don't give a fuck about justice. Yeah. But back to Regan Russell, this person, the woman that this creep here is mocking. Yeah, so she was intentionally run over by a semi-truck. On that day, June 19, 2020, she and other activists were outside of a slaughterhouse in Toronto, Canada, showing those pigs that were arriving at that slaughterhouse to be slaughtered some compassion, giving them water because they were dehydrated, asking the truck drivers for 2 minutes of their time to stop for 2 minutes, let us give them some water, and then, you know, we'll move out of the way and you can go through. Well, this monster, the last truck driver of that day, decided to get in the left lane to make a right turn, which, you know, I don't know about Canada. I think it's illegal in Canada too, but it's definitely illegal in the United States to be in the left lane to make a right turn. But he got over in the left lane, this truck driver hauling the pigs to the slaughterhouse, got over in the left lane to put those vegan activists' lives in danger because he knew, like, okay, well, they want to give pigs water? Well, they're going to have to come out into the highway. And hopefully they'll get hit by a car. Yeah, so that's why he did that. He got in the left lane to force those vegan activists out into the highway if they wanted to give those pigs water. And he was sitting at that light in the left lane to make a right turn. And the witnesses stated that he was eyeing Regan for several minutes. So he clearly saw her standing there. She was standing right at the entrance. She was standing right at the entrance of the slaughterhouse, right at the, you know, where the trucks came in, at the driveway area, standing there in full view of him. And he was looking directly at her, the witnesses said, with a pissed off look on his face. And the police report shows that when the light turned green, he accelerated aggressively. And she tried to run out of the way because, you know, she obviously heard, you know, the engine going and him coming right at her. She tried to run out of the way, but he aimed right for her. And when he hit her, The police report shows, the investigation shows that he did not even stop. He knew he hit her, but he didn't even attempt to stop. He hit her and he kept going. And the security guards at that slaughterhouse were screaming for him to stop. But he dragged her body like 30 yards before he finally stopped. And if you go to YouTube and you look up the death of the killing of Regan Russell, Regan, like vegan, but with an R instead of a V. Yeah, look at the aftermath of that accident, or I should say murder. And it's really horrible that this monster literally intentionally ran over a 65-year-old woman just because she wanted to show animals some compassion. That was her crime. Because she was a caring woman who just wanted to show animals a little bit of compassion before they were forced into a slaughterhouse. And this monster thought it was appropriate to run her over and kill her and split her body in 2 pieces. And guess what? She was murdered. Absolutely, she was murdered. And this creep who murdered her literally got away on a charge of careless driving, not even fucking manslaughter. I mean, he should have absolutely been charged with murder. The evidence clearly shows he murdered her. He murdered her with a fucking semi-truck. And he didn't even get charged with manslaughter. That's how powerful the animal agriculture industry is. That is how powerful the animal agriculture industry is. That they can get a murderer off on a careless fucking driving charge. A slap on the fucking wrist. Careless driving for intentionally running over an elderly woman with a semi-truck just because she wanted him to stop for 2 minutes. And she didn't run in front of the truck like these little creeps. And well, that's what happens when you run in front of trucks. She did not run in front of no fucking truck. She was literally at the entrance of a slaughterhouse when the truck driver was sitting at a red light about to turn into that slaughterhouse, staring her down, clearly saw her there, and accelerated aggressively. And that's what the police report shows. So he saw her, he accelerated aggressively, he hit her, he did not stop, he dragged her body for like 30 yards. Clearly a case of murder, but he got away with it. And just another reason to go vegan. Why the fuck would any decent person want to support this vile industry based on so much violence and injustice that literally these people working for the animal agriculture industry can murder people and get away with it? Why would you want to support a fucking disgusting industry like this? Go vegan, please go vegan, and stop making excuses, because really you are funding the most atrocious, most disgusting industry that has ever existed. And this fucking disgusting industry is literally destroying this planet. Animal agriculture absolutely should be banned. It should be banned. And anyone thinking it's okay to run over somebody with a semi-truck just because they want to show some animals a little bit of compassion, yeah, you should be in prison too. You think it's okay to murder people? That's craziness. That is fucking craziness. You can't be trusted. Yeah, clearly not an accident. You're blocked. It was just an untimely accident. No, it wasn't. It was a murder. It was a murder, and he should be in prison, but he's not. And the animal agriculture industry, you know, they're so powerful, they can literally get their people off on murder charges. Yeah, if you're against animal cruelty, you absolutely need to go vegan, and you need to go vegan now. Stop making excuses. Really, you really need to just stop making excuses. There's no reason for anybody to be funding the abuse of animals, and that's what you're doing. Every time you consume an animal product, you are literally funding the abuse of an animal. You are giving someone money to abuse an animal on your behalf. If you were to give someone money to murder a person, a human on your behalf, what would you call that? You would call that murder. It'd still be murder. Even if you didn't murder the person yourself. If you pay someone to murder someone on your behalf, if you pay a hitman to kill someone, you're going to be charged with murder if you get caught. If you pay someone to torture and kill an animal, you're an animal abuser. It's the truth. I realized that. That's why I went vegan. I didn't go vegan because I didn't like eating bacon. I didn't go vegan because I didn't like eating cheese. I didn't go vegan because I didn't like eating bacon wrap filet mignon. I went vegan because I realized that I was paying people to abuse animals on my behalf. And that made me an animal abuser. I did not want to be an animal abuser. That's why I'm vegan, because I don't want to be an animal abuser. And I realized that me purchasing animal products, I was paying people to abuse animals on my behalf. I was paying people to do some really atrocious things to animals on my behalf. And I woke up and I did the right thing. And I don't understand why other people won't do the right thing. Because, you know, I know that there are people out there who are a lot more intelligent than I am, who are a lot nicer than I am. So it makes no sense that you're not vegan. It just is so disturbing that so many people would rather just go into a state of denial than to accept reality and just do the right thing and go vegan. I mean, you know, if you think it's okay to kill animals, if you think it's okay to, you know, slaughter animals for food, you should have to work at a slaughterhouse. If you actually think there's nothing wrong with killing animals for food, you should have to work at a slaughterhouse and kill the animals yourself, and then get back with me and then tell me that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with slaughtering animals. No, I don't respect anyone's choice to abuse animals. Yeah, I mean, yeah, why would you not respect my choice to not harm animals? But why would I respect your choice to harm animals, especially when you can very easily choose not to harm animals? Why would I respect someone who needlessly harms animals? And, you know, here you are harming animals and you're destroying the planet in the process. And, you know, that affects me. And, you know, you're, you know, putting yourself at a high risk of getting so many very common and very deadly and very costly health conditions, which also affects me. Because, you know, I'm paying an astronomical amount for health insurance because people don't take care of themselves, because people want to eat animal products that are very acidic, very inflammatory, loaded with artery clogging fats and cholesterol. People are making themselves sick, and I have to pay for it. See, I'm almost 50 years old. In just over a year, I'm going to be 50, and I'm not on any medication at all. I don't even have a doctor. Like, yeah, the only thing I do is like every other year, I have to get blood work done for my insurance so I can stay in the premium plan. That's the only thing I do. I stay away from doctors. I don't need a doctor. But yeah, most people my age, yeah, they're on medication. Lots of people have health conditions. I ride my bike almost 10 miles every day. Um, and, you know, I'm happy. I'm just aggravated when I come across people who want to defend animal abuse. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why more people aren't open to the fact, that veganism is the right thing to do. It's like, yeah, I mean, even before I went vegan, it was like, yeah, I think vegans are awesome. It's just before I went vegan, I didn't know like why vegans didn't eat eggs. I didn't know why vegans didn't consume dairy products. But I never thought that they were crazy. I just didn't know like why don't they eat eggs? But I should have looked into it. And then, I would have found out sooner. Yeah, because animals are being horrifically abused for those products. In the egg industry, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until after they hatch. So at the hatcheries where all those egg-laying hens come from, even the organic free-range egg-laying hens, they cannot determine the sex of those chicks until after they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males and they put them through a macerator, which grinds them up alive because they don't lay eggs and they're not the same breed used for meat. They do not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. And then the egg-laying hens themselves are sent to slaughter when they can no longer lay enough eggs to be profitable. That typically happens at about 1.5 years of age when they can live over 7 years. But they're put under so much stress to produce so many eggs because in nature, they would only produce like 1 to 2 dozen eggs per year. But humans manipulate them to grow or to lay like 200 to 300 eggs per year. That puts an enormous amount of stress on their body. So by the time they're just about 1.5 years of age, they become spent, meaning they can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable. So they're sent to slaughter, turned into dog food, and replaced by younger, more productive hens. In the dairy industry, those dairy cows do not automatically produce milk like a lot of people think. People think, oh, it's a dairy cow. They just automatically produce milk. No, they don't. They have to be pregnant in order to start lactating. So those dairy farmers forcibly impregnate them, sexually violate them, forcing semen into them to impregnate them. If you were to force semen into a woman without her consent, what would you call that? Not artificial insemination. It would absolutely be a crime. And what would you call it if you stole her baby from her? And what would you call it if you killed her baby? And what would you call it if you hooked her up to a milking machine to steal her baby's food from her body? Yeah, if the same things were being done to humans, there would be crimes of rape, kidnapping, theft, and mass murder. But that's what they're doing in the animal agriculture industry. That's what they're doing in the dairy industry. So you can consume these animal products. And in the dairy industry, they forcibly impregnate those dairy cows to get them to start lactating. When they give birth, they take their babies from them. Pretty much as soon as they're born, they're taking those babies from those mothers. And the males are sent to slaughter. That's where veal comes from. It's a byproduct of the dairy industry. They're slaughtered so you can eat their baby food in the form of artery-clogging carcinogenic crap. When there's plant-based alternatives, you don't have to have babies stolen from their mothers and killed to steal their baby food. There are plant-based alternatives to cheese. There's plant-based alternatives to ice cream, plant-based milks, plant-based butters. You don't have to have babies stolen from their mothers and killed. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that humans are behaving this way. In this day and age, especially. And, it's like people are like, oh, but we've been consuming meat for, since the beginning of time. Well, yeah, go visit a factory farm. Go visit a slaughterhouse. Our ancestors weren't nearly as barbaric as we are today towards animals. Our ancestors were not sexually abusing animals to force them to reproduce. Our ancestors were not forcing animals to live in overcrowded, shit-filled sheds for months. And yeah, our ancestors did not have access to a grocery store. Our ancestors did not live in a time where there were literally endless plant-based options that were much healthier, much more environmentally sustainable. Stop making excuses to harm animals. It's ridiculous, to say the least. It's never been easier to go vegan, and I don't understand why more people aren't open to it. Well, do you build rocket ships, Mr. Mrs.? When chickens start building rocket ships, I'll think about not eating them. When's the last time you built a rocket ship? Can I eat you because you yourself never built a rocket ship? I mean, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer did say the human thigh tastes like filet mignon. Yeah, remember, I used to eat filet mignon before I went vegan. Pretty tasty. Yeah. So it must be right. Must be right. It tastes so good. How could it be wrong? And you never built a rocket ship. So, I mean, come on, get the fuck real. Dogs never built a rocket ship, so I guess you think it's perfectly fine to eat dog meat because a dog never built a rocket ship. Oh, now this person wants to talk about lice. Talk about lice. When we're talking about doing something that's completely unnecessary, these animals never harmed you, never did a fucking thing to you. You don't have to eat them. In fact, you'd be much healthier eating plant-based foods. And guess what? You can still eat tasty foods. I mean, I think that's, something too that keeps people from going vegan because they have it in their head that vegan food's nasty. No, it's not. I've been vegan for over 6 years, and the food I eat now is just as delicious, if not more delicious, than the foods I used to eat. Fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, grains are all vegan. Like, you don't like potatoes, you don't like strawberries, you don't like oranges, you don't like oatmeal, you don't like chickpeas. How can you not like chickpeas? I mean, I actually never ate chickpeas growing up, but now I eat them all the time. I think they're one. I never was into beans growing up. I mean, I never was fed lentils. I was never fed chickpeas growing up. I love lentils. I love chickpeas. And you can do so much with them. High in protein, high in iron. And then I came across someone earlier today saying, oh, I can't eat beans because it gives me digestive issues. Well, that's why you soak them and sprout them. That can help. If you sprout them, that can help with the digestive issues you might have with beans. It's not that hard. I mean, sometimes even when I soak lentils, sometimes they'll start to sprout within a few hours. They'll be sprouting. But typically it takes a couple days. But sometimes, like when I soak my lentils, they start sprouting within a few hours. Well, I can't make anybody vegan, but I can definitely explain to people how animal products are produced. And my battery's about to die, but I can't force people to go vegan, but I can explain how animal products are produced, and I can try to convince people to go vegan because it is the best thing you can do for the animals. It is the best thing you can do for the planet. And it's even the best thing you can do for your own health, especially if you stick, as close as possible to a whole foods plant-based diet. No, you're forcing animals to die. Stop forcing animals to die. If I could force you to be vegan, I absolutely would force you to stop hurting animals. Why would you not want to not harm animals?